Welcome back to There Are Four Hosts. As usual, there are four hosts. I'm Sabrina. You can find me at VoidCat Gaming on Twitter, Twitch, or Instagram.
And I am Michael. You can find me on Twitter at Games.
I am Jonathan. You can find me at JustAverageJ, pretty much everywhere on the internets.
Hi, I am Keith Justice. You can find me at
Welcome back to There Are Four Hosts. As usual, there are four hosts. I'm Sabrina. You can find me at VoidCat Gaming on Twitter, Twitch, or Instagram.
And I am Michael. You can find me on Twitter at Games.
I am Jonathan. You can find me at JustAverageJ, pretty much everywhere on the internets.
Hi, I am Keith Justice. You can find me at Keith Hayward on Twitter while I'm surviving the apocalypse.
Today we're going to talk about two things. First, we're going to just do like a season recap based on whatever questions I ask you guys, because you gave me power and now you don't credit.
No,
and,
unlimited power.
Unlimited power. Yes, exactly. And secondly, we're going to have that talk about what is Star Trek. I asked them to do some homework, but I'll explain that to you later. Before we do that, let's do a season report. Who is your favorite character? Favorite new character? Michael.
I'd say, I forgot his name. The Captain? Rios. Captain Rios.
Rios. Yeah, what's your favorite part about him?
I know it's kind of copying like Star Wars, but I like his kind of Han Solo attitude. I think it's really weird that he had a ship, like filled with holograms of himself. There's something behind that. But I thought he was the coolest so far.
Nice. Jay?
I can't remember the names, but the threesome, his roommates, his roommates, yes. The Tal-Shiar, roommates, yes, roommates in quotes. Yeah. I think they were just they were just amazing characters, even though the one's face bothered. Who was it, Keith? Right? Yeah. Didn't you hate the guy's face?
A bit too pleasant.
Whatever. But I thought they were amazing, and they totally kicked ass, and they were like these ridiculous Tal-Shiar that just like had his back. They remembered who he was and what he was, and they had his back, and they were amazing. So I wish there would have been more of those two in the rest of the series.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I hope we come back to them at some point, if for an episode or two. Keith, favorite new character?
Have been quite the big fan of Captain Mercer on the Orville. I mean, he's kind of like, a starship captain. Sorry.
Hold on, can we just kick him off already? Like,
no.
Is this the last episode? Do we have
you get one Orville. One Orville. That was your one Orville. No more.
We must.
Max of 3 per episode. 1 per section. Hold on, there's only 2 sections. Okay, that's your 1 for this section. No more, okay?
Sold. So when it comes to favorite characters, I almost want to say Rios, but man, they deflated him quickly. His concept is awesome as being a Han Solo character, but I don't need a Han Solo character in Star Trek. And then that was just kind of it. So I'm gonna say that my favorite character is gonna be the female Romulan threesome woman at his chateau. I liked her acting. I liked her character, her demeanor, and searching mysteries with her. She was fun.
Yeah, it is disappointing. I'm still upset that we just left them on Earth. I'm like, but they were the most important, interesting.
Yep.
I do love Alison Pill's acting, but Agnes as a character is kind of flimsy to me. I find myself in a really weird position to be like, maybe Romulan incest lady. She was kind of fun.
I mean, good choice. Good choice.
She was a little solid. Psycho.
Incest lady. Whoa. Okay.
Plus, like,
yeah,
okay,
Peyton List is the actress's name, and she's amazing.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Side note,
she was fun.
Weird side note, like, just to do a makeup test, because I was always curious about that, and, like, use glue on your eyebrows thing. I did Romulan makeup the other day, and, like, I think you guys that I'm not... This is a joke, obviously. But I think I'm not human, y'all. Just... It felt so right.
It looked pretty good. It
looked good. I agree.
Thank
yeah,
you.
I saw the photos on the socials. It looked pretty cool.
On ye old internet. Yeah, I'm really into it. So, like, all of a sudden, I like Narissa a lot more, even though she was kind of psycho, and her character was also flimsy. But it's fine.
She was true to her character. You know,
that was really fun. But obviously, I also missed the Romulans on Earth because they were my favorite. Oh.
Yeah. You know what's funny, though, is how no one said Daj or Soji.
That's not funny.
No.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know though, because she was pretty amazing. So she didn't like, you know, she wasn't the best to me, but still, like she's a good actress and her character, but
wow.
That's how main characters usually are supposed to be. I think boring because they're supposed to be your audience surrogate.
Self-insert.
Yeah. So if there is like Luke Skywalker, if you don't have too much about that person, then you can be that person. So that's what.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay.
I almost said Elnor as my pick. So.
Yeah, me too. Because he's just so innocent.
Yeah, and can kick ass.
Adorable. Yeah,
and yet murderous.
Yeah, slices people's heads off without a bat in his eye. It's crazy.
You know, the Star Trek crew with the 3 murderers on it.
Yeah.
I love that no one, like, at the end, there's no closure with, like, hey, didn't you just murder that dude? Or those people? Like, wait a minute, we should go to jail.
It's fine.
Wait, isn't there a galaxy extinction level event on that planet? Why did Starfleet leave? Oh, okay.
Nah, it's fine.
That's next season.
You got this, Jean-Luc? Okay, you're good. Okay, come on, guys, let's go.
It was just a season villain. It's fine.
Right.
All right. So your favorite moment with an old character, with a character from TNG. Do you have an idea already, Keith?
Well, hold on. Old character can be TNG or Voyager, correct?
Or Voyager. Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to verify.
Pre-existing canon.
It has to probably, like, the only genuine feeling I got was probably at Data's final moments. Since, like you said, they did build totally off of TNG, but in that little section where Data was having his moments and saying like he accepts his untimely death, felt good. So I'll stick with that.
Data, nice. Jay?
Deanna and Will. Yeah, I mean, come on, like, I got to the dad, like,
parenting.
Well, yeah, I totally brought this up when he was like, "What? Stop yelling! Just come and talk to me!" Like, that's such a dad thing because I do that to my kids. So I was like, "Oh, I am Riker. Okay, that makes me feel good."
I might have changed my answer then. I might have changed my answer to Riker when he pulled out that. Nope, I can still do mysteries too, dude. And you're doing this, and this is probably what's going on.
Yeah.
So, let me guess, based on you, here are the shenanigans. That was a great moment. You're right.
How close was I? 100%? Yeah, I thought so.
Yep, I thought so. And while we're at it, let me commandeer the fleet and bring them over to whatever weird-ass planet you're going to. Thank you, my daughter, for knowing the location. Oh, you know what? I'm changing my answer.
I was going to say favorite new character. I totally forgot about the daughter. You're right.
Yep. Changed my mind. Yep.
Such a good character.
Yeah, she's my favorite.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Michael, your favorite scene with an old character?
Keith, did you officially change your answer, or are you still on Data?
I'm waffling between the two, so I'm not sure yet.
Okay, well,
Waffle.
You're allowed to have the same answer.
I know I hate agreeing with Keith, but I'm kidding. No,
he keeps confirming how right I am all the time. I know, it hurts.
Yeah,
I know, I hate it. No, mine was definitely the data scene, because he was one of my favorite characters in TNG, and I thought, like I mentioned last episode, it was great how I think Picard was kind of there to like terminate his consciousness to kind of make him become fully human. Yeah. No, that was really touching. I liked that
that can protect him, and he tries to attack for 2. But this guy didn't have any enemies next to him, so he couldn't.
Overall, but I'm guessing it's going to be the same answer.
All of us.
All of us.
Yeah.
Favorite scene overall. Oh man. Yeah, I think we should have these questions before.
Yeah. I just wrote them 5 minutes ago.
I can tell you what my favorite scene was. I know what my favorite scene was.
Check through time, maybe.
Yeah.
Go.
When she says, "We are Borg."
Yeah.
When Jerry Ryan's eyes turn green and she becomes that cube's queen and she says, "We are Borg" with all the voices, I squealed like a little child. So that is my favorite scene. Yep, I know. My favorite scene.
Okay, tell you what. I'm going to start answering these first to give you time to come up with an answer.
Good, thank you. Cool.
I'm sorry, that's the best I can do for you.
No, that's fine.
For the record, just to throw it out there, I think you said something earlier, like we had homework. Yeah, I didn't do my homework.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. I forgot there was homework.
F.
What was the homework?
Fail.
Yeah,
I know.
What did we fail at?
It doesn't matter. Listen, it's a verbal essay homework. So if you've thought about it, it will come to you, and if you didn't, then you'll just have to bullshit an answer, same as when you were in school.
Oh, then I'll do.
That's
great.
what I did. I bullshitted answers. Yep.
Did we get questions that we were supposed to be thinking about?
Yes, but it was a while ago. Don't worry about it. Don't stress.
We all forgot, Keith.
You all forgot.
Okay, it's not just me. Whew.
No,
it was like when you like get that you're nervous. You're like, oh, I don't want to let the teacher know that I didn't do the homework, but I'm gonna have to tell Sabrina I didn't do the homework.
Yep. I'm gonna give you those fever dreams about
here. For the audience, can you say what the homework was so we can?
Oh, it's for the what is Star Trek question, not for this. So I'll talk about it.
I did the homework.
Oh, you did do the homework. See, you know what the homework is.
I think so.
We'll
what is Star Trek?
Let's just keep. I'm sorry, I brought it up. I'm sorry.
Go.
Okay. The next question is, what is your favorite plot line and or biggest disappointment? And I'm going to answer first. My answer is actually the same for both, and you already brought it up. My favorite plot line was, in fact, the Tal Shiar agents who decided to just retire as servants in Picard's estate. I'm very curious about how they got there. I want to know what they went through. I want this Tal Shiar stuff to come back and to kick around and to wreck some stuff. And therefore the fact that they are only in the first 4 episodes is my biggest disappointment. I can't wait until they reappear. I will be very upset if they don't reappear all next season, presumably, presuming that it happens. I'm sure one of you will tell me if it happens. Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
So that's my answer to those. Michael?
I'm okay.
All right.
Sorry, Keith. I'm going to give you more time to formulate your full answer.
Let's see. My favorite storyline was probably having Hugh back on the show. I just thought it was a nice touch, for the people that had watched TNG all along and knew who he was. I loved seeing him and Picard meet again after all those years. And also, coincidentally, my least favorite storyline was also the Hugh one because they killed his ass off in the first season.
Yeah, that's the same answer for you, too.
So it kind of pissed me off. I would love to have seen him join the crew. And I've watched that episode a couple times again, and it just seemed like his death was wasted. It's because they said he died saving Picard and giving them time to get away, but it just didn't seem that way when you saw the episode. It just seemed like a waste to me. But
yep.
Yeah. Yep. So
Keith?
Let's see. So my favorite scene would have been the duke out in the chateau with the threesome Romulans and like the woman, and like I don't know, like I like I said, I love my fight scenes, like fight choreography and camera movement. So like once again, that one shot of her getting smacked against the glass, but there's some way that was shot that was like, oh my god, and then like they gave it back.
And then she took the gun that was strapped to the table under it.
That was a well done fight scene. So God bless him for that.
Yeah.
Best plot line and biggest disappointment would have been, what's the giant secret that makes everyone go mad? And then it's like, oh my god, it's an invasion. Like, oh.
It's a Shutterstock montage.
You guys have done invasions before. It doesn't make you kill yourself. And then the other huge disappointment, which is just like a blanket over the entire series, is the lack of Starfleet. Yeah, once again, I don't come here for Farscape or Firefly. I'm coming here to be a part of Starfleet and seeing how those people do Sherlock Holmes sci-fi mysteries.
All right. We'll talk about that. Jay?
My favorite storyline was I agree with Michael, having Hugh in there. That I was so excited when I heard he was going to be a part of it. I will admit that, like his storyline, his whole being, I mean, going from, Hugh all the way to where, I forget the name of it, but it's like where Lore and they're you know which episodes I'm talking about. I apologize. But, they're at that so it's Hugh, he's angry at the, the Enterprise and all them. Exactly, Descent, that's right. And then to have him kind of circle back, and obviously we don't know what happened between then and now, but to have him circle back and just be just this good person and the smile on his face when he sees Picard, I mean, it's just heartwarming, And I will admit that him being killed off definitely sucked, but the thing that I didn't like the most as far as like disappointment was the array, like the transmitter, and then the AI coming through that hole, but no one really knowing what or who they are or where they're coming from. Like they were just, and then they just turn it off, and that's it. I mean, it was like that was a bit of a letdown. Like I want more too. There's more substance there, and they just didn't bring any of it out. Yeah,
we just saw the greatest threat the galaxy's ever seen. We're by it.
I know.
Yep. What's your biggest question for next season, or what do you want more of? Like, what are you looking forward to based on this season? For me, I'm just hoping that it was like a big, long, setup movie where we find out how everybody got where they are and why they're here and what their backstory is. And now we can settle into the, them becoming a crew and really getting, into each other's space, and maybe we'll finally get those one-off mysteries, or where they go maybe for 2 episodes on one planet, and then a couple of 1 episode long things, and then we can do some character building. Yep.
All right.
Jay?
I actually am hoping I'm hoping that the whole series, and all the characters get fleshed out a little better and we get a little more substance. But what I'm actually hoping to see Rios and Picard become close, kind of like Rios becoming his next number 1 kind of thing. Even though Picard isn't necessarily the captain, Rios is, but Rios is essentially working for the captain or with the captain. So to see them kind of get that camaraderie, where, Rios is Starfleet to the core, and Picard is, this insane legend with Starfleet. So to have them past all this stuff where he, Rios's, a memory of his old captain and all this stuff, he's kind of been able to process all that. So now he can come out on the other side and appreciate what Picard can be to him, which is like a mentor or a, just someone to look up to build that camaraderie with. So I really am hoping next season we see those two become close and work on their trust with each other,
Nice. That's nice. Michael?
You mentioned it before, Sabrina. The biggest thing I want is more character development. Because except for Picard and Seven, the ones that I already knew about, I did not care at all what happened to Rios. I mean, he could have been shot in the head last episode. I'd be like, that's a bummer. We'll get a new captain. I mean, I just didn't, I didn't feel anything for him. Just like, whereas, Picard, it's like we spent, countless movies and 7 seasons. And so, he's like a buddy of yours. And so you want to see, him do well. But with Rios, he's just like a stranger that I ran across on the street. And it's like, well, if he lives, he lives. If he dies, he dies type of thing.
Let's see. Okay. So I actually brain farted. I'm like, what was the question? And I've been like thinking about my answer this entire time. Hey, listen to you guys, too. But my answer is going to be a controversial nothing. They didn't do a TV show, guys. Like, there's nothing to build toward. They shouldn't even still be a crew together, because like there's nothing keeping them together. Like Picard still has a home and like his couple back home and a dog. He also Don't leave number 1 behind. What's up with that? I'm not gonna leave my cat behind. And also, he just stopped a galaxy-wide calamity, and no secrets. He should be back in Starfleet, not on some stupid. Sorry, I'm being mean. I don't mean to be mean, but it's just a ship like the La Serena. Okay. Okay, yeah, the La Serena is just some ship, and like, Agnes has a career already, and also should be going to jail. The Romulan sword slinger, he has a family also back on that planet that he should be helping out. Like, there's nothing for them to keep them together other than that's what they say should be happening. And yeah, if I wanted something in the next season, I'd like for all the pieces to fall apart so that we can go back to normal Star Trek. Like, I want the opening scene to be Picard walking out onto the bridge of like whatever ship he's admiral of, and then like seeing pieces be put together, and maybe Rios I would love to see Rios show up in that. That would be so cool. Like, he flies by in his Starfleet ship and Rios, sidles up in the La Serena. Then we're starting to like get normal Star Trek again and having fun. And yeah, I'd like to see that happen, but it's not. And I also don't think we'll get a second season. And it's not me not wanting it. It's, I think the business part of it is going to break apart pretty soon.
Yeah. I remember you said so last week. Yeah, I know, but if a next season exists, hypothetically, yeah.
If it does, let's get some different executive producers and care about astronomy, and let's do some real shit again. And done.
Scene.
All right, buddy. All right. Any last thoughts about the season?
That the thing that I was going to not spoil for you guys, the very first episode we did, or the first episode I was on, and said I knew something huge that was going to happen, never happened. There was a rumor that Q was going to show up, and it never happened. So
I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad that didn't happen.
I don't know if Q would fit in quite right for the first season.
Nope.
Maybe later.
I feel like it would have turned into the like Mud from Discovery, so like being a super murderous psychopath as opposed to like
Tribble Trader.
The other one wasn't like, he wasn't good, certainly not.
Yeah.
But he was like chaotic neutral asshole.
Yeah.
But he wasn't like going around murdering people.
Yeah.
And putting them in time loops so you could kill them over and over and over. That's a wild leap.
Yeah.
Real quickly, what letter grade would you give the show? Sorry, overall, the first season.
Like A, B, C, D, F?
Yeah.
Like grade school? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wait. Okay.
I'm sorry. I thought you were done with that segment.
Oh, no. You're right. But can you give me like...
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were... I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sabrina.
If next gen is an A and like... What's your scale here?
Just... Okay. Well, I mean, like, if you give it, like, you think Picard, the show was like an A+, a B, B-,
Okay.
Just in general, not up against TNG, just everything.
Yeah. Just on its own, yeah.
Michael, you should tell us your answer first.
B+.
All right. Do you want to give us any details on that criteria? Or, just...
Well, that was just how I viewed it. I mean, it wasn't like a knockout of the park. It wasn't a shit show in my opinion. It was a good, solid B plus grade. So that's yeah.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to jump on that boat. Yeah, B.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not a B plus, definitely like a B. I wouldn't say B minus or C, like because it was better than average, but it wasn't. It wasn't horrible. It was better than average, but it wasn't so amazing that I had tears every week. And some of the storylines, the plot lines, and the characters, and stuff just didn't jive. So I could do like a B minus. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely room to grow, but it was not. It was above average for me.
Keith?
I am trying not to be mean.
No, be honest.
Yeah, no, be straight up, man. That's what we're here for.
Okay. I'll give you guys a C minus, and I'm gonna be so nice while saying that. I mean, you guys they deserve a D plus. The only reason why it wasn't a complete failure is that the sets and like the special effect design work was gorgeous, beautiful. The camera work was fantastic. The fight choreography was great. It's just that it's just a cobbled mess of what shouldn't be Star Trek that didn't connect together, didn't make sense. And like also, hey, like the actors themselves, I felt they did great performances. So yeah, C minus, because like it's not their fault. I thought they did great performances. I love seeing Picard smile or Jean-Luc or
jail.
Patrick Stewart. I like seeing Patrick Stewart smiles. Good seeing some of the guys back in action again. But it came together in a mess that they didn't earn. So I'll say a very forgiving C minus.
All right, fair enough.
I'm actually in the same boat with you, Keith. I was wavering between giving it a D and therefore failing it, or giving it a C and passing it. I was like, if it hadn't been Star Trek, I would certainly be giving it a higher grade, but it is Star Trek, and therefore we have to consider that it is Star Trek when we grade it. And I know for some people that means giving them an easier grade. Again, that's fine, whatever. It's subjective. For me, it is the opposite. So, it passes its sci-fi, certainly. So, yep, C minus.
Okay.
They kind of like had the pieces together. They had like grips of what it is, and you're so right. The design teams did great jobs. A lot of the background teams did like an amazing
Starfleet costumes.
Yeah. Right. But the plot didn't sell me. And I feel like the symbolic stuff was really messy, and I expect Star Trek to be cerebral. And I didn't find it to be so.
Okay. Cool. All right, sorry, go ahead. I was just wondering what you guys would do with that.
Great question.
I'm very happy you asked it. And it actually goes straight into, since we were talking about what is Star Trek, then this will explain our grades.
Yeah.
So for the audience, the homework that I gave them was pretend that somebody wrote a fan fiction and then decided to sell it as a book, so they changed all of the names of everything, they changed all of the dates, whatever. So in the same way that when people read 50 Shades of Grey, they went, hey, hold on. This is Twilight fan fiction. How would you be able to recognize that the story belonged in the Star Trek world? What would you look for to see that it is Star Trek? And then the second half of the homework was think of a different sci-fi world, for example, Firefly or Battlestar Galactica or Stargate, whatever. What would you need for you to recognize that it's that world, and therefore, like, how are they different? So I asked them for a compare-contrast essay. I did not actually expect a response, but I was hoping that at least it would get the ideas percolating in your brain for a couple weeks, so your subconscious maybe worked on it, and we'll see what happens. So first, before I ask you any of the tough questions, I want you to tell me what world you want to compare it to.
Can you go first? I'm not sure what you mean by compare it to a world.
Like I said, like what other kind of, like, how would you recognize Firefly? Did you think of any particular series you want to talk about? Just tell me what the series you want to talk about is.
Gotcha. And, I mean, so that we can follow your example, would you go first?
Firefly.
And that's all you're going to say?
Yeah, that's all I'm asking you for. Just what world?
Oh,
what world?
Okay.
Star Wars? Battlestar Galactica?
And say that I will compare it to Stargate, because I just finished Stargate SG-1,
Excellent.
and I highly admire that show.
See, the reason I'm making you pick the show now is so that while we do the first half, you'll have the second half running through your head, and you'll think about it.
Okay.
See.
Noted. Stargate and Firefly.
Since I know that you didn't do the homework, it's perfectly fine. Again, Jay?
I'll say Star Wars, because that's a classic.
Star Wars?
Go back and forth, Star Wars versus Star Trek.
I was hoping at least one person would say it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can have that infamous Star Wars versus Star Trek discussion, or will we not have time? We'll find out. Michael?
Can I do Firefly as well, or do I need to do something different?
You can do Firefly, and then I will think of something different.
Oh, you're sweet. I love you. Thank you.
Or if somebody else has a specific show they would like to compare it to.
I can do Farscape, and you can take Stargate if you want.
All right. Yeah, let's do that.
Cool.
I'm surprised. Keith, I'm going to say this now, but you are not allowed to change your answer. I'm surprised you didn't say Orville.
No.
Because Orville is Star Trek.
No.
Just kidding.
Oh, shit. I know where you live now,
Keith. You know what? You're right. That's the thing. If you took all the names out of the Orville, it would be Star Trek, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I'm happy to go first. I mean, I'm ready. If you want someone to volunteer first.
We're not going to talk about the world yet, but yeah, please.
So what is Star Trek? What makes Star Trek, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
how can you recognize something as being Star Trek?
So here's the thing: it's not because you can rename characters, you can rename alien species, you can rename any of that, and if we're not talking about visuals, but we're talking about
well, it's written down.
Yeah. So there are a few things that stand out for me. First off, the utopia that was TNG. There's a society that isn't based on income, society that's more interested in scientific discovery, and that whole idea.
Bettering oneself.
Yeah, exactly. Bettering oneself or bettering one's
pursuits outside the
Yes, exactly. And that just is something that I think is a beautiful thing to aspire to. So that right there is Star Trek. Prime Directive. I mean, that's not unique to Star Trek, but the way they handle it, it's very they kind of hit on it pretty specifically. And I think that would be a big, like, hey, that's Star Trek. You know what I mean? Like that, the Prime Directive, the Utopia, and then, there was one more. Prime Directive, Utopia. Shit. I had it. I was like, oh, you guys were talking, and I was like, I'm ready to go, and then I was like, I knew I'm going to forget it.
Prime Directive, why I bring a pen and paper.
Yeah, Prime Directive, Utopia, and Star Trek
Exploration,
Utopia. Well, exploration's kind of part of it.
Don't feed anybody answers. Hey.
Yeah. No, it's cool. No, it'll come back to me.
Sharing homework.
But basically, my whole thing is it's not the people, it's not the races, it's not any of the conflict. It's the core. It's the core idea of it. That's Star Trek.
That's what I was trying to get you to go.
Yeah,
to.
like it's the core idea. It's not just about because they have Klingons or they have Romulans or because Vulcans bleed green. Like it's not any of that stuff. It's the core of it.
I was trying to dissuade us actually from talking about things like delta signs and the visual markers. Like forget the visual markers, forget the names, forget the the classes, forget the ranks, whatever. Like what is at its core. Yeah.
And the third thing, yes.
So thank you.
Starfleet. Starfleet is a group that is not just humans. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, a lot of other sci-fi, it's humans and this, humans and that. And they partner up, but Starfleet is
and the Federation.
The Federation is what I'm thinking of. I'm sorry. That's the one I was thinking of. The Federation is not just humans. It's basically the betterment of multiple worlds. You know what I mean? Multiple systems, multiple walks of life. And Starfleet, Prime Directive,
UFP.
And Utopia. Those are the things that stand out to me, and I feel like I would be able to pick those out.
Nice. It's funny, actually, because I was going to listen to you guys and then write down the 3 things that you said the most, but you already did that, so thanks. Keith, did you want to go next?
Sure. For me, Star Trek is a set of ideals. And let me see, where did I put that ideal? Explore.
Oh, is that what you've been looking for on your computer?
Yeah. Okay. So like, yeah, it's a set of ideals. It's it is I come to Star Trek to sit down to immerse myself in science, the scientific method, which is usually like kind of exploring a riddle or mystery, and also it's supposed to be like it's like a astronomy bath. Like if like you light candles and stuff, and you just like sink in and like what these people care about astronomy, and I get to imagine what it's like to actually be among the stars, and then look at the weird stuff that I used to watch on that one TV show that says "Keep looking up." Yeah, and human advancement, seeing like how we keep pushing past like our human weaknesses and become something better. So if I haven't said already, exploring the unknown. Like you get all those things together: science, astronomy, exploring the unknown, human advancement. And now I'm enjoying Star Trek. That's why I'm sitting here, because I can't get this anywhere else. Or you can have other kind of bootleg versions of it, like Stargate, which do have that kind of, but it's bootleg version, which is awesome. But if I'm not getting any of that, and I'm just getting stuff that I can see anywhere, then it's not Star Trek.
Michael?
Yeah, the past week or so, I watched a lot of Star Trek to try to figure this out, or
Excellent.
Put it into words. I think, well, first of all, for me, it makes me think and kind of question what I believe in, what I've always believed, and I've noticed a pattern in a lot of the episodes and movies that it's kind of it's like the struggle to be human, or like become more human, or what does it mean to be human? Like Spock, being half Vulcan, half human. Data wanting to be human, 7 of 9 trying to reclaim her humanity, even the EMH, the doctor, not necessarily wanting to be human, but be more like them, I guess. I mean, so yeah, be more human, just to be more a member of the ship. Yeah. So yeah, I think and in that finding your humanity, it's like finding what's right, what's wrong. I don't know. It's just like the fighting for what's right and what's wrong, I guess. And I don't know, that's my answer, such as it is.
That's a good answer. It's a little unspecific, so I can't like grill you on details or anything, but it's a good answer. I wrote theme of mortality and humanity, and morality. Let's go. Cool.
Analog note taker.
Am I?
It sounds like it.
Can you hear it right now?
I can't hear it now, but I did before.
It's really funny, because I have my window open, and normally I cannot have my window open because there's way too much sound. But, like, I just heard the first car go by in quite a while. It's very weird. Excuse me. All right. Things that I look for in Star Trek. That utopic world where we've already solved the problem at the center, so we're working out and trying to like find new people to connect with, find new worlds, new civilizations. So outward discovery, and then an ensemble of support. Like regardless of whether it's a group of people on a starship or not. Like in the case of DS9, you still have a central group of people who are all, like, the stories are not only about their discovery of the self, but also in how they can improve each other.
And I thought of a couple of things, if I can add.
Yeah.
One of them is also kind of to what Jay was talking about, everybody in, I think it was Jay, everybody in Starfleet, Andorian, Vulcan, human, all working together. It's that acceptance of different species and people that are different. I really liked.
Working together.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't always work out, obviously, but I like that. And then also the, trying to get towards that utopia. I think even in like TNG, they never were completely there, because you would have, even in that show, you'd have admirals that would, backstab you and try to kill you or take your daughter or something, so I think, it was the struggle that was important to them to get, to grow from the struggle, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So,
excellent.
Can I add a little something as well?
Yeah.
Of course.
Cool. One of the notes I took down comes from one of my favorite lines of Speed Racer, which is one of the greatest movies ever made. Where Speed Racer's trying to explain to this corporate guy what racing means to him and his family, and like he says that racing isn't just a sport; it's a religion. It's in our blood, and like, the things we come to Star Trek for, like all of us sit down and we get morality plays, and we get all connected by it, so that like when you go to church the next day, they're not just kind of reading like, passages from Conan and like, beheadings and stuff. And you're just like, wait, what am I here for now? And you came here for the lessons. And then like my roommates, after getting Picard in their system, they've gone back to the original series even and TNG.
Nice.
And they're like binging those because like, there's always something to get from each episode.
Yeah.
And like, in Picard, I didn't get something from each episode. I saw stuff in each episode.
Well, and as far as connecting people, it's funny, like when I have a bunch of Star Trek shirts, obviously, and you see somebody else in the store that has one, you like instantly have a connection with that person. You know what I mean? Like, about, the Borg and everything. You just have that, you're almost instant friends, basically, so it kind of brings people together, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
You exchange Fonzie looks.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, because we're all talking about, Michael said different people working together made the ensemble of support, human advancement and becoming something better. Starfleet is not just humans. Literally, it's all about how people who are different and have different opinions can work together and make everything better. So there are some fandoms that if I see like a stranger wearing a shirt that I'm a huge fan of the shirt they're wearing, I'm not going to approach them. It could be fine. They might be super awesome, but there's a chance, But Star Trek, we're like, nah, it's fine. If you're into Star Trek, it's because you're cool with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do know, like, there's a connection there that they don't know, maybe. And, like, I was doing a job interview earlier today, and, like, one of the guys' phones went off because he got a text, and it was the Power Ranger text message.
Nice.
And like almost every Power Ranger fan has had that text message beep for a while until it got played out. Like we all went to like the same conventions, and then like you'd hear it and everybody picks up their phone. So then like it kind of died off after that.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah. So, you get that connection, and it was kind of cool seeing that today.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, Jay. If you read a fanfic about Star Wars.
I'm sorry, repeat the question?
The exact same question we just talked about, but Star Wars.
Oh, okay. So it was, Star Wars is lightsabers, good versus bad, and pretty much black and white, with the gray area being the story that we see, but the universe itself is very black and white. It's very, it's less warm. It's a colder world. It's a colder experience. And it would, so Star Wars, it's that turmoil of good versus bad, white and black, with the middle ground being what we see. Yeah. And that's really it.
Finding the balance.
Yeah, that's it. It's like the gray area isn't really a thing. You're either a good Jedi or a bad Jedi. You're either, it's just very, very black and white. And I just find it very monochromatic and not as diverse. And it doesn't draw me in as much as
it's not as enticing.
Yeah. Just because I live in the gray. I live in the gray. So I'm like, nah, I don't like the black and white.
Yeah, well, I mean, Star Wars is an adventure theme, so it's a big adventure, and it's like, it's fun if you have that hero complex to be like, I'm gonna be a swashbuckling Jedi, but then if I had to actually pick a world to live in, I would not live in the Star Wars world. I would die.
I would honestly...
I would get murked by a lightsaber.
I'd honestly... I
dangerous
can be absolutely transparent. When I tested, I was a Sith, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I think I probably would be. As much as I'd love to say, no, I'll be a Jedi. Nah, dude, I'd be a Sith. So
I'm not sure I'm convinced I would have force powers. Yeah. But that's a discussion for another time. What order did we go in before? I don't remember. Keith?
I don't know.
Keith? Farscape?
What is Farscape?
What is Farscape?
Farscape is taking a smart geek and throwing them into the middle of Star Wars, basically. The weirdest parts without the humans. So long as you feel like you've been plucked from your couch and plugged into like the every bar
Zone.
you've ever seen. You know, every bar you've ever seen
bar?
in Star Wars. Yeah, every Star Wars bar you've ever been in, and you're the only human there. That's what Farscape is, with wild Dutch wobbling camera angles, sexy aliens, and gunslinging and cracking puzzles like a Star Trek episode.
It's actually funny that we ended up with Stargate and Stargate and Farscape, because both of those are very much worlds where Star Trek exists and the characters are fans of it.
Yep. Yeah.
Michael?
Firefly. See, I'd say like a dusty space western. You hire these guys to help you out, and they're kind of, good, and they're in like the gray area. And you don't know if they're going to help you, but eventually they do the right thing in the end. Let's see. Yeah, that's just a dusty space western is what it comes to.
It's pretty straightforward on that one.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Oh, yeah, and I love it for it, yeah.
I got to admit, when my wife knitted me a Jane Cobb hat, I had never been so happy.
Oh.
Yeah, it was
Right.
I like looked at her and I was like, I love you so much.
Like, I'm going to marry you again.
Yeah.
When it came on, I turned my nose up at it and didn't watch it because I was more of a fan of John Doe at the time.
And what happened after that?
Years later, boring week happened. Someone had the box set laying around. I was like, all right, I'll check this out. And then, oh my god! And
Like,
ran around telling my friends, guys, and organizing parties around it.
I actually didn't watch it.
Nice.
I didn't watch it live either. I didn't know what it was. I was I don't even know how it missed me because I'm like the demographic, but I have no idea. I just somehow
It was jumping weird
Yeah.
times.
I
they kept
don't
scheduling it.
know what it was, but I absolutely didn't even see one episode until after the fact. And then someone was like, "You've never seen Firefly?" And they like looked at me with disgust. They were just like, how I don't know if I really know you." You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if we're truly. Yeah, and then they basically were like, "Here." And then same thing, the box set, they turned me onto it. And then I was like, "Oh my God." And then I was like, "I need to see Serenity right now." So we binged it like straight, like in a week or whatever. It was crazy.
Nice.
I had a crew of friends at the time, and I made it. We made special days, so we all watched Firefly together as Serenity was coming up.
Nice.
And then in Madison, there was a restaurant called the Firefly.
Oh, nice.
We went there before or after the movie, and just made a freaking experience.
That's awesome.
Out of
That's cute.
That is so cool.
How nice.
Mhm.
Love it.
that. Shout out to Team India. That's what we called ourselves. There's mostly Indian folk, but like lots of international folks who like geeky stuff.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I picked Stargate. So Stargate is a home base with outside adventures, science and alien shenanigans,
Machine guns.
machine guns, and then close buddy teams versus the alien world. Getting into shenanigans.
Okay.
It's very much shenanigans. Okay, here's the next bit. We're each that didn't pick one of the categories. Like we're gonna add to that category, right? Anything else? Like for example, I would like to add to Firefly. Relationship, strong relationships.
Yeah.
Strong relationships.
When you have a crew of people that are friends and they're all close, we all now call it Firefly. I'm pretty sure.
We just call those squads here, but
I mean, like, when you see something with a crew, like what we're seeing in Picard, and you have a ship, and like you have a close team of people, and like that ship is their home base.
Or like people who aren't put together because they're Starfleet or anything, just like we all live on this ship together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even though like we first saw it, well, sort of saw it in Star Wars, but Firefly cemented the team on the ship.
I mean, Star Wars, they were kind of like incidentally on the Millennium Falcon sometimes, but the Millennium Falcon was really like Han Solo's. But Firefly was like, Firefly was theirs. It was their home. Mm-hmm. They lived together in it. Yeah.
Firefly.
That's nice.
I wanted to say Firefly also came off in a very mature vein compared to a lot of other sci-fi have kind of mature themes.
Oh, but, more mature.
Yeah. But I mean, there was like, they had things that richer people would snub their noses at kind of people, like Jane Cobb and the captain and the girl who was a prostitute, I believe, right? Wasn't she? Companion. I wasn't sure what to call it. I apologize.
The seedy underbelly, shall we?
Yeah, but that's just it. Like they were
with hearts of gold.
Yeah. They were those people. Like they were the people that the highbrow would kind of raise their nose at, like but they were genuine and they were real, and it played with a lot of mature themes. But it had fun with it. I mean, you can't really have a show with Nathan Fillion without it being a little funny. So,
you can't have a Joss Whedon joint
that too.
Without being
correct.
Funny.
Yeah. But I mean, that being said, it's just one of those things where it was mature, and it dealt with a lot of things that a lot of other sci-fi wouldn't quite go that route. So I loved it, and that's one of the things that drew me in. Is it was very just true. It was very real.
Yeah.
Is there like a loud fan behind you?
That was no. I moved my office and I'm at the end of the house, which happens to be right above the garage. And I believe my wife and my son are out riding bikes right now. So the garage door is opening and closing. Gotcha. So you'll probably hear it once or twice because they probably can't make their mind up.
All right.
We'll take that out in post.
Yeah, cool.
I'm gonna add an oppressive central government that controls the center, and then the world degenerates as you go out. To the like rivers on the outside. That's like if I ever was reading a fanfic and they were like, yes, in the central planets everything is super nice, but we're out here and it's basically the West. And then if you keep going river, there's like a mysterious man-eating thing out there. I'd be like, yeah, Firefly.
Okay. Then part of Farscape, the other thing is there has to be this crew of Firefly-like characters has to be on the run from some kind of like Nazi military in space. That's
perfect on
part
the
of
run.
their journey.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
From militant,
insane military.
Speaking
commanders.
of other sci-fi entities, just because this just popped in my head too, but The Expanse.
Yep.
I don't know if you all have seen The Expanse.
Not yet.
Okay, so we're not going to. If you haven't seen it, then we're not going to include it. Because
how would you describe The Expanse?
Oh man,
if you're trying to sell this show to me in 3 things,
it's
Firefly, but hard science.
But what? Hard what?
Okay, I'll write down hard science. Don't compare it to anything.
Very
science.
Very, very.
Let
very,
me throw
very
in
obvious.
because I've seen a couple of episodes. Okay. Multiple storylines.
Oh, absolutely, multiple storylines. Very, very observational layers of society. Like there's the poor people out, in the belt.
Commentary
out in the belt, and then there's Mars and Earth, and they beef. And it's like well, Earth thinks they're best. Well, Mars thinks they're best. Well, the Belters, blah blah blah. So you have this like very obvious these different levels of society and of money, and it very much is. It's almost like what I guess it would be. I would recognize it if they treated space the way that like Earth treats its continents. You know what I'm saying? Like we're all, even though we're all on the same planet, we all kind of like, whoa, we have the best military. We have the best military. We're the richest. We're the richest. We have the best tech. We have the best tech. So, I mean, it kind of took what's already kind of going on down here, which is unfortunate, and puts it in space.
So it's like mercantile era colonies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They allow their environments to shape humanity.
Yeah, good call.
So, yeah, like you got Earth, and like Earth is kind of like Starfleet. Then you got Mars, which Mars formed people to care about technology more because that's what kept everyone alive, and their strength made them a rival to Earth. And then you have the Belters who are poor, and like there's like not enough materials all in one place for them to ever actually build anything.
So they're oppressed. They're oppressed by the others. Yeah.
That's actually Yeah, okay. So thank you for also pointing out the structure of The Expanse, because structure is one of the things that I wanted to talk about. But that's actually what drew me to The Expanse. The first time I saw the first episode, I was like, I need to see more of the show, because they had one thing that was going on Earth, and that was like a political drama. You had a thing that was going on with the Belters, and that was like a film noir. And then the thing going on with the starship crew that's heading for Mars later, that's like a space horror kind of. Which I'm quickly sensing is turning into like a 1984 type of dystopia. So I found that really exciting.
I can't wait till you watch it. We'll have to talk about it. It's one of my favorite shows.
Good. All right. So thank you for talking to me about The Expanse. I will put in more effort to watch it. We talked about Firefly. Do we want to add anything to?
It's not. No, it's not.
Do we want to add anything to Farscape? For me, Farscape was revolutionary in that it actually allowed its main couple to be a couple. A lot of shows are like, once they become a couple, everyone will lose interest, so they never do that. But Farscape proved that not only can you do it, but that the relationship itself has just as much to offer in terms of drama and character development as not doing it.
Yep, they enforce it like Stargate.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Guess we have to.
Yeah.
But yeah. Aaron and John, they grew naturally. Like they did the TV show thing where, you know, will they, won't they, sort of, but
they started it and together. Then it was like, it was too clear. It was too clear.
Yep.
Yeah, for me, it's really like the group of people. I really like that. The only human in a Star Wars bar thing that you said. They like that. I was like, oh yeah, that pretty much covers it. I'm
cheating because that's what the creators called it when they were creating
cute.
In the first place.
Yeah. I mean, good job them. They definitely did that. That's exactly what I like about it. That they're just like totally divergent people. Like they never would have picked each other. But hey, you're the survivors on the ship. The ship that is also alive. Just do what you can. Let's go. Like drawn together by their. Just the lives that they have led up to that point have forced them to be there.
Have you guys heard? Do you guys watch Community at all?
I have watched Community.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you see the amazing like theory that was just dropped as a joke about Farscape?
No, I did not.
No.
Abed was talking to a guy. The guy was trying to sleep with Abed, but Abed was oblivious to it because he thought the guy really wanted to talk about Farscape. So he's just going on and on about it. And he drops like this idea that says, yeah, I have this idea that John not only traveled through space, but time. And the Peacekeepers are evolved humans that turn cold-blooded. And there's like all these indications that like there's other aliens in that world that were like related to humans for some reason, but that was never answered. So yeah, maybe he traveled crazy into the future as well as through space. Oh, cool. So anyway.
Ooh, I like that theory. That's fun.
Yeah.
All right, and do we add anything about Stargate?
Like what else makes Stargate Stargate?
Soft science.
To me, it was there's like things that we played when we were kids. We played guns. Like there's like the game we played guns. We played spaceships. We played cars or dudes or whatever. Like dudes are just action figures.
Yeah.
And playing guns means you go into your toy chest of toy guns, you pull them all out, and then you just
pew, 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 pew.
some kind of action sequence and story that you're in. And to me, Stargate is totally like about playing guns. Like you're running around and going brrr, brrr,
pew pew romp.
And I don't get that. Yeah, not more. And you don't get that much gunplay in sci-fi. I think not as much.
But
as
you
in
get
Stargate.
so much in Stargate. Michael or Jay, do you want to say anything about Stargate?
I have not seen it, so I cannot comment.
Okay, fair enough. Jay?
No, I don't have anything else to add, really.
Are you guys going to start watching Stargate?
It is. It's on my list, definitely.
I've watched it in the past.
Yeah, see, The Expanse is on my list.
I watched it in the past, but I don't remember it enough to talk about it, so I need to go revisit it. Been a long time.
I feel it doesn't start off too good.
It does not start off too good, but it gets better. We can say the same as Star Trek.
Yeah.
And one big thing that I have to add to Stargate, gods are aliens. all gods are aliens. The main aliens that are the enemies are from ancient Egypt, and then later on you find out that the Norse gods are from a different race, and then it turns out that the ancients are basically gods, but they're like us before, so like gods are aliens, you guys. Gods are aliens. And here's the thing, I know you haven't seen Stargate Universe, but that one thing is also in Stargate Universe when like the pew pew machine guns it's still kind of there, but like oh no, I guess it fits my criteria after all.
I'm gonna hate watch Stargate Universe so hard.
I actually have seen Stargate Universe.
It's too much of a downer for me.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna crap all over it every episode. So I really hope it. Yeah, but I hear like my friend Max says like it actually won him over. So
wait, we'll see what happens.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well.
And yeah, the original Stargate won me over because I was hate watch. I didn't hate it. It was just kind of like on the background for me. It wasn't just that great. And then I was watching a video about it, and like it's from TV back in the day when you were assured like 26 episodes, and now it's like, hey, you better knock out 10 episodes or we'll cancel you right away. And that's like, I think the urgency that we see, that's not as fun anymore because they have to worry about getting canceled in 5 episodes. But yeah, Stargate, they said, you are guaranteed no matter how much you fuck up, you get 4 seasons. And that allowed them to organically and naturally turn into a really good TV show.
I wish more had that chance.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, Star Wars. Let's talk about Star Wars. I thought describing it as a colder world was like really smart today. Yeah. It's certainly like it's more aggressive.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna get attacked by something. I don't care if it's a slaver or if it's like a giant bug on the ground or if whatever. You're gonna get attacked by something.
Absolutely.
Star Wars to me is like Lord of the Rings level sci-fi. Like it's adventure,
fantasy, adventure, sci-fi.
Yeah. You're not. There's no chosen ones. At least not until the later ones. Anyway, but like originals, like the original
Anakin
canons. Yeah. That can be talked about. But anyway, like for me, like the original trilogy and like the best of best means that you can be Dude McFella off the street, and like if you find yourself a blaster, you are on your freaking way to becoming like a hero and having lots of fun.
You can be a hero.
You can do it.
Get yourself a blaster, find yourself a best friend who has a starship, and like you just explore the galaxy and get into gunfights back to back.
Was Han your favorite when you were a kid?
No, Luke.
Luke was.
Yeah, I'm the rare person who says Luke Skywalker, which I always thought was really weird because I thought like everyone would pick Luke Skywalker. Really quickly back in the day, like the way we watched Star Wars was that we turn it on and choose our characters that we're going to be, and then like in my living room we'd like play out like what that character is doing.
That's cool.
And yeah,
my friends did that for Lord of the Rings rewatch once because it's so freaking long.
And my friend reminded me we did that because like he lived in a weird bubble where he played video games during the whole entire like MCU. So he didn't know anything that happened in the MCU. So when the snap happened, I got to see his jaw drop. And go, oh my god! And,
that's cool.
And like we were choosing our characters who we were, just having a blast. But like with Star Wars, it was interesting that I found out like I felt like I got a little angry because I kept on choosing Luke and like I didn't get to do shit and like I got my butt kicked and stuff. So like I'm like we were turning on like. My buddy Sean, he chooses Han Solo. I'm like, all right, sucker. And I'll be Luke Skywalker. And I'm going to show you what. And then, like, I'm getting thrown across the bar. I'm getting knocked out by gaffy sticks. And, like, it's not until, like, the very end, like, we save the princess, and she's a better shot with a blaster than I am. Like, what am I missing here? What? I thought Luke was the main character.
Sucks.
But that's... Yeah, and that's what makes him amazing because you can see him rise up, and then like by the time Return of the Jedi happened, like I was destroying everything.
That's nice when you start out not knowing what the fuck you're doing. All right. Well, now that I've gotten you in the mood to talk about sci-fi, I'm gonna like wreck it all.
All right, let's go.
So, is Picard Star Trek? And why or why not? Based on what you... What? Is Picard Star Trek? Star Trek according to the things that you told me. And according to your personal feelings. Is it Star Trek? Yes or no? Why not? And then we can argue amongst ourselves.
Okay.
John, you're going to start.
Okay. Yes, I do think it's Star Trek. It does.
Hold on. Let me reread what you said to me first.
Yes, go ahead.
No.
One, it's a utopia or a push,
He set you up.
a pursuit towards the self and betterment of others. Pursuit outside the self and betterment of others. Yeah, okay. It's a utopia. There's a prime directive, and Starfleet is not just humans. It's about cooperation.
Yes, and I think what you're picking up on is the utopia thing. That's what rubs you wrong, right?
I didn't say that. I just said that's what you said.
In previous episodes,
you said utopia.
It was one of
prime
the
directive,
things.
Yeah.
Starfleet.
So yes, there was a prime directive. Obviously, it doesn't show it in the show, but the betterment of humanity and what it means to be Starfleet is Picard. So I do think it fits because even if other people have kind of lost their way, which happens, especially when you've got one of the main Commodores who is like Tal Shiar infiltrated the Federation. I mean, there's so many levels of...
Hold on. She's
Zhat Vash. I'm sorry. There's so many levels of like where things could have gone awry that we don't really know. But at the core of the show, which is Picard, he embodies it. He embodies the prime directive. He embodies that utopia. He's trying to help people the whole time, even before the show. You see the I guess the prequel shots, where he's trying to help the Romulans. I mean, there are bitter enemies for how many generations? And he's going beyond that, trying to say these are lives. We need to save them. So the utopia exists. He is trying to help it come back. Do you see what I'm saying? So he embodies that utopia. He embodies that. So it is Star Trek to me because it's him. Because he embodies that, and he's trying to do what he can to get things better. Does that make sense?
He still remembers.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Can I attempt to translate and then you tell me
thank you.
if that's what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
So you're saying the theme of the utopia and the prime directive and that our whole purpose is to help others become human and to become better ourselves by helping other people, and that Starfleet is about working together with people who are outside of ourselves.
Well, you said something about becoming human, though. So I'm not trying to say that. Like I don't know if that was a misspoke thing. Okay. If I did that, I'm sorry. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure, you weren't like saying like I was saying that everyone needs to be like us. Like that is not what
I did not. No, that all of us work together in the betterment of all of us, despite being different from each other. And since Picard himself carried all of those themes, then if you had read fan fiction and it was Picard, but all the names were changed, you'd be like, I see what happened here. A member of Starfleet was put into a world where he could make changes to return it to the world that he once knew. Then therefore it's Star Trek.
Essentially.
It's like you said a couple of episodes ago that it was like Picard is trying to remake Starfleet.
Well, I think he's trying
to you guys' credit, he's not acting like it never happened. Like Luke Skywalker and Last Jedi.
I mean you're right with how you're interpreting it. That's basically he embodies Starfleet. And had I seen this without any of the names or any of the if they didn't say Starfleet or say Picard or anything like that, I feel like I would still pick up on it just because of him. Okay. Like it's really I think that's one thing. Like they gave him some liberties about character and what he couldn't do. I'm talking about the eye patch. the eye patch, that was a little much, but it was still fun for him. You could tell he was having fun. There are some things that are questionable, but at the end of the day, it's still Picard, and he still embodies those things. So I think I would see right through it and be like, that's Picard. So,
well said.
Thank you. So much pressure.
I'm swapping back and forth. Keith, Here's what I have written down for you: the ideals of the scientific method, of human advancement in order to become something better, and exploring the unknown, and then the feeling that it gives you is an astronomy bath. With these things in mind, how do you feel about Picard?
What did you do to Star Trek? Why did you do this to me? I feel that I watched a whole bunch of reviews, so reviews don't tell me what I think or change my mind. They just kind of allow me to further think about what I already think. So and one of the good quotes that I think I saw was, true champions make trends, they don't chase them. Star Trek, when they hit, like the original series, even TNG, they started something that other shows now chase. Like Stargate is its own thing, but it has that soul of Star Trek in it, because they saw holy shit, what was that? And it became immortal. People know what Star Trek is. But this was chasing Mass Effect. It doesn't, like I said, like we said before, Star Trek on its own is already amazing and great, and you can't get it anywhere else. Not the well, I guess you can now, but I won't even mention.
Thank you.
Wait, the
No,
Orville. I have my own. You said I get this is my second time.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, all right. Yep, that was your second. Good.
Yeah,
you said Orville.
Yeah, so I don't like that. The brand name has risen up above the ideals of what Star Trek is. They took that brand name because they wanted to make CBS All Access popular, and then gathered a whole bunch of people who were it felt like they just sat down and they just kind of bullshitted about too many of them had played Mass Effect, and they're yeah, whatever, don't worry about what Star Trek once was. What can we do right now? And then that's what it was. It was just spamming other sci-fi and not using the greatness that Star Trek already has. If you want to duke it out or argue with the Romulan Empire and them dealing with a catastrophe, that's cool. But it's cool that what was once cool about the world and place setting that Star Trek had was that there was a veil of the neutral zone, and beyond it was the Romulan Empire. They have their own federation of different species, planets, and organizations and planetary alignments and whatnot, and they handle it differently there because they're an empire and they rule. So what could have been cool is seeing what does it look like on the other side of the veil versus the Federation, but they didn't do that. They just kind of used them as elves. Yeah, they just made them elves, and you're not even supposed to say that out loud in Star Trek, but they did it. I'm not sure if I was the last one to the party on this, but I didn't notice they were elves until I was all well into being a man. The Vulcan ears are straight up elf ears, but for some reason, Star Trek nailed it so well that I was no, these are Vulcans.
They're shaped slightly differently.
Elves.
They didn't register it to me at all as elves, and now they straight up.
But Keith, come on, they live to 200 and whatever.
Yeah, and then the reviews I watched pointed out how the cool thing about the Romulans were their military society of rigid assholes, and instead they turn them into Rivendell elves, where they're all spiritual and do martial arts and care about prophecies. When once upon a time they're I don't know what kind of equivalent on Earth we have of that of strict military assholes, but yeah, I miss that, and I'm even starting to lose track of what I was trying to talk about.
Russia, maybe?
Yeah.
Because they're very secretive, and then when we do see what they're doing, it's overly military. Maybe not current Russia, but USSR Russia. Because, it was 63, so, yeah. Romulans, the Russians.
Then also, I'm losing my my astronomy that I loved about it, because there's this it was in the 90s, so I saw someone point this out. It was I don't remember, some kind of special where space is crazy vast, and I hate it when any sci-fi thing, Stargate, I wag my finger at you but I let it go because it sounds like you from the start they embraced the goofy, but no one should ever say galaxy-wide event. They don't understand how big the galaxy is, and you can't do that unless something crazy is going on, and it's just but they have And like even Mass Effect, I was like, okay, you can't really say that. Oh, so the fun fact I saw a long time ago was that someone mapped out like how far the Federation had been exploring and like over the galaxy, and it was like a tiny speck, like this tiny little circle is what they called the Alpha Quadrant. That was just a little small portion that was not the whole quadrant. It was just a small space because space is vast, and here, you know, they aren't doing that. Like, you can go anywhere in the galaxy within a couple seconds, and the Romulan Empire can be knocked out by one solar system.
Hey, Keith.
Yeah.
There's definitely only one planet with 2 red moons and lightning.
Yeah, so I butt hurt everywhere on me on this. Like, they're just like taking my toys and like slamming them together and just like, that's not how they work. It's kind of like how, like, when we were kids, so like we were playing with our action figures, where me and our friends, like, we set up our factions and areas of the living room or front lawn as this, and then like the little sister wants to play, and you're like, all right, you know, yeah, let her play, and she just doesn't care about any of that, and she's, I'm like, wait, that doesn't talk like that, and yeah, so that's what I saw going on with my Star Trek, and it just like I went, it is I got destroyed with Star Wars and learned through the sadness of like The Last Jedi that, oh shit, I'm actually experiencing grief right now. So after going through that crucible and understanding how things happen like that, I'm way less hurt and way more ready for what happened to this Star Trek. But yeah, definitely isn't it. They didn't care, it seems like. And because I think that I was trying to figure out, like, trying to figure out what the hell happened to Star Wars. And like, you know, like Kathleen Kennedy, she destroyed it. And I was just like, wait, no, like, her name's been associated with everything I've ever loved. She should know not to do certain things. And then like friends were saying, no, Keith, like, her job was something else. She was really good at making sure the crazy people could make their stuff without getting bothered. And therefore, sometimes when you change creative rulers, you get the people who don't get it. Like, she lived a real life. So she wasn't into Star Wars. She didn't have to be into Star Wars. She was doing a business and making a life for herself. So when she gets her hands on it, she's ready to do more business. And yeah, and here in Star Trek, I'm just like, I think, because I liked most of season 1 of Discovery, and it was in the hands of a guy named, he did Hannibal. He's really good, and I'm forgetting his name. Oh, but then he dropped out.
I know. He also did American Gods. Christ, I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, this one guy, he understands science fiction world building and fantasy, and like, I felt people dog on Discovery, but I felt it did the right thing with how it
Brian Fuller
its world. But there you go.
Yeah, he understands Star Trek because he worked on Voyager.
That's right. And then the more we got away from him and turned it over to Alex Kurtzman, who did Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I think he's probably been involved in Transformers and stuff, and it's just like, yeah, it hit him is making a TV show as action spam, and we ended up with that. So, I miss.
Sorry, I actually was disappointed by Brian Fuller's hand in Discovery, but
I couldn't tell how much had been left.
That's fine.
Him.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then lastly is a fun quote that my buddy Max came up with, which is because like we're trying to talk about like how some people do know about certain art than other people. I don't know jack shit about Metallica, but like in the 90s they said they did like this album Until It Sleeps, and I was like, oh wow, okay, now I like Metallica, this is good. And he said the fun quote, which is, REM could have done that song and no one would have known the difference. And if you had taken out the name Picard in Star Trek, anyone else could have done Star Trek Picard and no one would have known the difference that it wasn't Star Trek. There you go.
Yep.
And
thank you. Michael, let me remind you, you said Star Trek poses questions of mortality, morality, and humanity. And it's about different people working together in a positive direction towards utopia. And using this criteria, do you believe that Picard is or is not Star Trek?
I do. Because it still has, even if you took away the name Picard, it still has like his inherent sense of right and wrong that we saw through all TNG and the movies. It still deals with a lot of like existential and moral dilemmas. Like who am I? What's my place in the universe? Which we saw in Daj and Soji, and even Picard now being, a synth. I could see him coming up with those questions for himself in the next season. Am I human? Who am I really? It wasn't the Trek of old, but I think it still is Trek. It's a Trek for the times that we live in. It's always going to be changing, just like how, the original series isn't anything like, TNG or like Deep Space Nine. They look totally different. There are very similar, there are some similarities, but, if you had a TOS fan that never seen anything else, watch DS9, they'd be like, this doesn't seem like my Trek. This is, this isn't Trek. It's something different. I don't know. That's...
I agree with that one.
What's that, Keith?
I would say that, like, you say that if someone watched DS9, they wouldn't recognize it as Star Trek?
Sorry,
if
you broke up.
If they had seen only TOS.
Like if you took like a TOS fan like from the 60s and showed them, DS9, they'd be like, aside from the technological advances, special effects, they'd be like, well, this doesn't seem like...
All right. Pause.
Okay.
The reason I had you guys do that homework is because specifically the criteria that we came up with weren't specifically about the plot or the design of anything or like what the Klingons look like. It was about the themes. And with Keith's list, scientific method, and exploring the unknown, you see why he didn't find that Picard fit that criteria. And with your criteria of it asking about morality, mortality, and humanity, I see why you feel that it does. Actually, my effort here was to make it clear that we're all right in our own way.
I see what you did. I see what you did there.
And none of it.
Wait.
Actually,
are you saying that we're more right? Are you saying that?
I'm saying that my criteria is very specific. Let me do my answer, okay? I have story time for you. I have mentioned this before, but for a long time I played Jim Kirk on Tumblr. And it was the Beyond Kirk, the Kelvin Kirk, because me and my friends were working on like, okay, subtly I was trying to like pull people who were only interested in Kelvin Kirk into the rest of the Star Trek world by like incorporating TOS details into my stuff. But I also helped people run like a reference blog, and I did stuff like research the ranks, explain how the world works, what the differences between Starfleet and the Federation, the Utopia, etc. So I eventually at some point got invited to join like a crew, like a specific crew, like one person playing Kirk, one person playing Spock, etc. Which is how it used to be on forums, but it's not like that on Tumblr. Anyway, and then I ended up getting in fights with people because I would be like, well, you can't do that on a starship. Or like, this is TOS era, you can't have kids on this ship. It's not a galaxy class, it's a different class. So people would get upset with me because they were just there to like have a good time. Meanwhile, I was like, here are the rules of the universe, and here are the facts, and if you don't wear your uniform on a Starfleet ship, you're getting kicked out of Starfleet. I'm sorry, that's just how the thing works.
Some losers just want to have
Right. Yeah. So I'm just saying, I'm coming from a place that is like, writing is very important to me. I care about the details of writing. I care about like very specific nuances. I'm looking for certain things like that. And I'm super stubborn in that if you break the details of the world, it doesn't feel real to me anymore. Like I had to stop role-playing with certain people who would break those rules because I was like, I understand that it doesn't concern you, but for me, it makes it feel like everything we're doing is fake, kind of. So I'm aware that I'm very much more picky than other people. I left that group because more relaxed time, and I realized that I was stressing everyone out. So, awesome. I know that this is unusual, and that it's a thing that I care about very specifically, but that other people don't. That's fine. I accept that I'm different.
I had to go through that. With Star Wars.
Yeah, I accept that I'm different. I didn't like it. It doesn't feel like Star Trek. Because what did I do with my list? Let me read what I said, because I don't actually know. Utopia, Discovery, and the ensemble of support. Oh yeah, it didn't feel like an ensemble at all. It was just like they weren't supporting each other. Half of the scenes between the ship members were them fighting. Like I don't know anything about the relationships. I don't know how they mix with each other. Every moment was just like a moment of tension or grief or plot device, and that's why
Agnes puking.
That's why I didn't feel like Star Trek.
Those are my favorite parts. Can I add one thing to my answer?
Absolutely.
First, I apologize for my TOS DS9 rant there, but
No.
When you said about like it's Star Trek to me because of what I described Star Trek to be, for myself, it kind of blew my mind actually, because it's like, and not that this is news to me, but it's like just because it's not Star Trek to Keith. Or maybe you, Sabrina, it doesn't mean that it can't be Star Trek for me, obviously.
Exactly. I'm so glad.
Yeah, that I mean, seriously, that kind of blew my mind. I was like, holy shit, that's like, yeah, I got goosebumps.
This is the most important episode we have done, you guys.
Yeah, like I have the utmost respect for most of you guys, and so it's kind of, we can still talk about it and discuss it, and it can still be Star Trek for me and not for you, and hopefully season 2 brings you guys on board, but no, that's the other thing. Yeah. We don't have to convince each other that one of us is right, because there is nothing.
Right. We're all allowed to have our own opinions, and they can be based. Yeah,
I love you too, Keith.
I'm the most right.
Shut up, Keith.
What? Oh, no.
I love that. That's what I love about this group. Like, we can have our own opinions and bring something different to the table. Like I said before, because it'd be, I agree with you. I agree with you. Oh yeah, you're right. Okay. Nice podcast. Talk to y'all later.
Right.
Exactly.
How things should.
Healthy conversation.
Yeah,
healthy conversation. Yeah. I love it.
I admit it, sometimes I get infuriated when people disagree with me because they have entirely different criteria. I'm like, why would you not care about this? But Keith, it's been a big thing in my life to try to not think that my opinion is better than others automatically. I'm working on it really hard, so don't push my buttons.
Well, I mean, we're all still working on it, I think, right?
Yeah, of course we are. Yeah. And I mean, aside from Star Trek, just in terms of becoming better people and being kind to ourselves, I find that often in the world I'll get two thoughts, my instinctive thought and then my correction. So sometimes I admit it. Sometimes my brain will think something really racist, and then I'll be like, wait, hold on, that's not true. Right. And if you never have moments like that, then you're probably not thinking about what you're doing. So just remember, the first moment that you have is the thing that society has tried to drill into you.
Exactly.
And the second thing needs to be the thing that you're reminding you is the truth.
Mm-hmm. Right? No, that's well said.
So,
yeah.
If your first thought is horrible, understand that it is horrible, but understand that also doesn't necessarily represent that the person you are. The person you are is the actions you take. So make sure you make that correction. You be good.
Yeah. Right? No, I just wanted to extend the white flag of truce and friendship to Keith there. So.
Fist
bump. Yeah, virtual fist bump. There you go.
Well, you can still have that knockout dragout fight if you want. I mean.
No, I mean, I'm kind of
It happens in our hearts.
Right.
Okay, good. So, I want to finish this off with a completely different question.
Oh, okay, here we go.
So what is your favorite Star Trek series anyway? Michael?
TNG, hands down.
Why?
What's the one
Hold on.
What?
You get 3 sentences.
It's the one
I'm kidding.
Okay, does that start now? No, it's the one I grew up with, so I saw it first, so Picard's my captain. I like the set design, the uniforms, the ships. It's just... It's my Star Trek. It's what I grew up with, so that's why I like it the most.
Jonathan?
TNG as well, obviously. I spoke about it in earlier episodes, but when I was going through pretty much the most difficult time in my life, that was my outlet. You know what I mean? So I have more of a personal stake in TNG, and mind you, I love it gave me something it gave me a way to get away from the insanity that I was living and be a part of this utopia and a part of this, world that was so much better than what I was living in. So, it was very emotional for me. So I got emotionally attached to TNG because of my life and what I was going through at the time. And it just every week I had that to even, it was like my 1 hour of tuning out this insane world that I lived in and just being able to be in that show. And they talk about people that, there are certain people that when you watch movies or TV, you're just either watching it and listening to it, but know that you're watching or listening to it, or you get pulled in and you then become a part of it. You're an observer within that world. And, Star Trek's one of those things that I feel I can kind of transcend and become, like, for that brief moment, become an observer in that world and be able to tune stuff out. And not many shows can do that. So TNG.
Yeah. Nice. Keith?
That was more than 3 sentences, by the way.
Well, you can't ask me a question and expect only 3 sentences. That just doesn't work.
three
Anyway. Keith?
So, I distinguish between my favorite and best.
Yes, me too. But I asked you for your favorite. I don't care what the best is.
I'm getting there. There's part of my
All right. I have a feeling we have the same rant, so go on. I mean, the first half anyway. The best one is.
The best is DS9. The best is DS9. They topped TNG in ways I didn't expect. It was fantastic. But my favorite will still be TNG because it was so formative.
Yeah.
Like, I was 10 when it started. I wanted to get into TOS as a kid, and I think I was way too young to adjust my mind to its older aesthetic and try to appreciate it all. So I was like, all right, now we're on the right track. So when the first episode started and I'm hearing the movie soundtrack, I'm like, what? And then expand because I'm ready to watch the show. All right, which one is Spock's kid? Which one is Kirk's kid? And blah blah blah. And then I'm like, wait, all these people are just different people. Like it would happen in real life. And then the show just kind of blossomed in my mind, and it showed me all these sci-fi concepts I'd never heard of before, like a Dyson sphere. Every time I think of or hear Dyson sphere, I think of the Enterprise doing that barrel roll as it escapes. My favorite, Next Generation, hands down. And also, I'm so blinded by my love that when people say that the first couple seasons aren't good, I don't know what they're perfect. They're perfect.
What about that episode where that one dude takes Tasha Yar as his bride? What do you think?
Yeah.
ugly, but still so the way they shot the show was so perfectly clean looking, and I love the format of you get the opening, you get the cold open, setting up the situation, then get the theme song, then roll into the show. TNG was freaking perfect. So yeah,
I love you a little bit more now, Keith.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love you guys. I'm enjoying this nice warm bath of Star Trek love. All right. So yes, Keith, you're right. DS9 is the best one, but my favorite one is TOS. Listen,
which is why I friended you in the first place.
Whatever.
No, I'm not kidding. I thought it was like me and you connected over comment on crazy. Something, and you're young and you shouldn't be into the original, which made me very curious as to why you were, and I want to become your friend. That's why.
This is just how it happened, just based on the way I lived my life. I was very young. I saw Voyager. It was kind of half there in my brain, so some of the characters will still hit me, but whatever. Then when I was a grumpy teenager, I happened to watch TOS a lot to make myself feel better. And now at this point, I hear the communicator sound, or I hear the whoosh of the turbo lift opening, or da, 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 da.
That was very good.
And thank you. I perk up. it makes me feel good. The characters make me feel good. The camaraderie makes me feel good. Like, it's a world that I want to live in. Like, I feel excited to be there.
I want to ask, like, why wasn't it ugly to you? Because, like, when I was a little kid watching it, it was just so ugly and it kept me away. Like, how did it break through your...
I just didn't give a fuck about the aesthetics. I cared about the characters and I cared about the stories. And you'll notice that I'm always trying to, like, divorce this from talking about aesthetics because I'm like, the aesthetics are great. They look dope. I don't want to get into the debate of whether they need to look the same as a different era because we just have totally different, like, styles, but also, like, different ways of creating stuff. TOS had no money whatsoever. The reason they have so many episodes that are like the Western episode or the Nazi episode or whatever is because they use the sets of other things that had just finished filming so they could save money, you know? Like, whatever. But the reason I asked you guys this question, even though I asked it at the beginning of the show, like before we saw Picard, was actually because I wanted to point out that all of our favorite Star Trek is our favorite Star Trek because of how it feels. How it feels to us to watch it. So, to our audience, I know, like, one of my friends, for example, he really connected to the PTSD aspect of Picard. And because of what they're doing with that whole war, he loves Picard deeply to his soul. Like, it really touched him. And I'm very glad he had that. But then he's going around, and whenever anybody says they don't like Picard, he's like, how can you not like it because of this? And I just want to remind you that we care about Star Trek because of how it makes us feel, and feelings are totally subjective. Forget even the criteria that we have. So it's great of him to love it. And it's great of people to, and if, like, it does make me feel good, so I'm not going to watch it, that's fine too. Just don't try to convince other people, if they have strong feeling about it, to change their feeling because of the feelings that you have. It's fine to diverge.
Absolutely. Amen.
If it doesn't make you feel good, you don't have to watch it. If it makes you feel good, you can watch it. That's it. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, well said.
Thank you. Let's talk about something cheerier. What's your favorite episode ever? Don't think too hard about it. It doesn't have to be a real permanent answer.
It's the
out of all this series,
out of everything you've ever seen in Star Trek, what is your favorite episode?
Damn.
Jay, you first.
Well, it sucks because I know the name of it.
What?
It's the one with the Resican, but I can't think of the name. It's like the most famous episode. Where he lives a whole lifetime, like 20. Inner Light. There it is. God, I could not think of that name for the life of me. Inner Light's my favorite. Oh man, that is such a beautiful story. Nice. Inner Light has been one of my favorite episodes, and oddly enough, there's another episode. I think it's a dual 2 episodes that come in a close second, and that's the one where they go back in time and meet Mark Twain and Data's head. Yeah, with Guinan.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is about that. Yeah, I don't know what it is about that episode. It's so weird because good. I don't know why, but I love that episode so much.
I love it too. There's a scene real quickly. There's a scene where they're leaving the hospital, and Riker's talking to a cop, and he's like, I just want you to know I have the utmost respect for the law. And then he punches him out. I'm like, I love that part.
Absolutely. All right, who's next?
I'll say that I can't remember if it was the same episode. Was the Dyson Sphere the same one where they duked it out with Nagilum? Or do you guys remember?
No, I don't. This doesn't ring a bell.
He's like this god being face that is in space, and
yep.
Yeah, he's like torturing them and stuff, and then like they all agreed. They said, no, fuck this. We're killing all ourselves. We're not playing your stupid game. And then he'd fake them out, trying to let them escape. And then they figured out that we're an experiment. And then it was just so much cool. It was so cool to see the escalation, the mystery, the deep mystery, being willing to say that I'm willing to die for this. And then Nagilum at the very end, they finally escape, and then he appears one last time to Picard, and he's like, you know what, that's cool, right? Now, I'm a god being, but that was awesome. You guys were willing to go down for that, so applause to you guys. I was like, and who was that thing? Where'd he come from? And yeah, I love Star Trek, man. I love when they get all like that.
Michael?
I mentioned it before in one of the other episodes. It's hard to pick one for the entire run of all the series, but
believe me, I'm still trying.
Right. So, but the first thing that comes to mind is All Good Things, the series finale of TNG. Yeah. Again, it's my favorite series, and that episode just kind of takes you back throughout the whole series. Again, my favorite scene in that is where I still get choked up and teary is when he joins them at the poker table. And, realizes that he's had these friends and this family all along and that he's always been welcome. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it.
Yeah, see, it's the way Star Trek makes you feel.
Getting goosebumps just listening.
Yeah, I mean, that's my soothing voice.
I guess I just want to jump in because, you get me all giddy about it and stuff. My favorite part of the episode was when they're outgunned and stuff, and then, the new Enterprise D shows up. I'm like,
phaser laser.
And then Riker says, I'm going to see if I can get their he says, I'm going to see if I can get their
attention.
Yeah, Riker says, I'm going to see if I can get their attention. And it's like, all right, he's going to hail them. The gun just lights up and just blows away one of their ships. I'm like, oh my God. I love that, yeah. And the next day in Latin class, we'll play me and my friend Danny. Like, did you see that? He goes, I thought they were going to hail them. I know, I thought he was going to hail them.
Riker doesn't mess around.
So. Yeah, I love that.
No matter what, what future timeline they're in.
Yeah.
I will say that it's a thing that I'm piggybacking off of Red Letter Media because they said it first, but it's always been in my subconscious that I did not like the jump to so much action that DS9 kicked off. Because in TNG, what was really beautiful was you don't want to shoot
until
at
the
all.
end.
Yeah. Their guns. Yeah, their guns and their photon torpedoes are so powerful that hey, if we're gonna start shooting, somebody's gonna end here. So we better talk this out. And when it comes to shooting, last resort, something went really wrong. And then DS9 happened. And I loved the war battles,
but it was a war. Yeah.
When you, So when you break it open, now we can just anytime and. Then Voyager went too far as well, sort of. I can let it go.
So it's falling into that Stargate pew territory.
Yeah, because once upon a time when I came to the Borg, you better freaking think of something. But then Janeway's light them up, dudes, and just blowing Borg away left and right like nothing. It's all right, I'm having fun. I will let it go. I had my era where it didn't happen. I'm fine.
Do you need more time to think, Sabrina?
Oh, no. Sorry.
No, because
my turn. My favorite episode is probably Balance of Terror. Balance of Terror is the TOS episode where you first see the Romulans. So, as it turns out, so let me give you a brief plot synopsis, unless you guys remember it.
I have not seen it.
It starts... Oh, my God.
It's been a long time. I don't know if I remember the plot.
Okay, so it starts with a very submarine beginning where they there's a Romulan ship out there and they're all we have to go quiet because it was based on submarine warfare and you do have to be quiet in a submarine because the noise goes through water, but it doesn't exactly go through space.
Right.
But to be fair, this was the 50s. How much did we really understand about what's going on in space, in the vacuum? So we'll be kind there because sci-fi's still getting that wrong. But, so basically, there's a Romulan ship and they have to get some information from it. So Spock goes over and then the Romulan commander takes a super liking to him and they're like, Spock, you gotta seduce her. And Spock is distracting her by seducing her. Meanwhile, McCoy grafts Romulan ears and fake eyebrows onto Jim Kirk so Jim can go onto the ship and pretend to be Romulan. Listen, so it has the Romulans, it has the humans and stuff, but at the same time it's really serious. It introduces the Romulans. There's a scene in the beginning when you first see the Romulans on the screen. They're it's the first time anyone's seen Romulans in 80 years. And one dude looks at the Romulan and then looks over at Spock because they have the same pointy ears, we know the background of the Romulans. And then he says something nasty and then Kirk goes, there's no room for... What's the word? Prejudice. There's no room for prejudice on my bridge. If you can't be professional, get off. You're dismissed. And that's dope. And that's why whenever people are like, Star Trek wasn't about social issues, I'm like, okay. Sure. But,
there's a difference.
I didn't say social justice, I said social issues.
Alright, never mind. I'm wrong to interrupt you, and
Thank
you
you.
were correct.
Yeah, so Balance of Terror, Romulans, Spock having to seduce someone, always hilarious. It happens more...
I can't imagine
it happens more often than you would think, so maybe y'all should just give TOS another look.
I'm going to as well.
Listen, Spock seduces people more than... There's actually a scene in a totally different episode, and this episode is like, I think it's called Cloudminders. So you have a society that's in a floating city, and then you have a bunch of people who are working in the mines for the stuff that they use to power the city. It turns out that the mines are toxic, and those are what's causing the people working in the mines to be dumber than the people living in the planet. So it's like really an oppressive, like, dual society. The girl in the mines takes a liking to Jim Kirk, and the girl in the Cloud City takes a liking to Spock, right? The first time they meet, Spock and Kirk meet her, she goes, "I've never met a Vulcan before," and Spock goes, "Well, ma'am, I've never met a work of art before."
Ooh.
I mean, it's smoother than that. It's smoother than that. Then Kirk looks at him like, "Oh boy!" So like,
I gotta write that one down.
He starts write down the notes.
Nor I a work of art, ma'am. Yeah.
Damn,
so,
that's slick.
Y'all are forgetting something about Spock. He's a smooth boy. Yeah, so I invite everybody to rewatch TOS. I know it's hard to get past the insane corniness, but like, think of it like Stargate but cornier.
Okay. Okay.
I'll be approaching it how I do like older Japanese sci-fi shows are also pretty ratchet looking, but there's some kind of beauty in that now. Has its own like feel and aesthetic of that.
It certainly has that. Yep.
So I'll be going back.
Well, I think that's us for today, my friends. So remember.
Well, actually, sorry, Keith. Keith, did you want to mention something for next week that we have going on?
Oh yeah, Keith, please.
Yeah.
The thing
that I sent you a message about.
So. Yeah, I saw an interview with the lady who wrote the Measures of Man. Is that it?
Yep.
Yeah.
The Data episode. And I searched her on Facebook, and for some strange reason, she's a friend of mine on straight Facebook. I'm not sure how that happened, but I messaged her, and she's just totally cool. She's a straight up geek. She posts about playing video games, her thoughts about like science fiction writing in video games and what she's writing. So she's agreed to be on our podcast and talk dork stuff with us.
Awesome.
So, Melinda Snodgrass of legendary Star Trek Next Generation fame will be joining us to geek out about stuff and
sci-fi. We're gonna geek out about sci-fi. We're gonna talk about sci-fi. What is sci-fi? How is sci-fi used? Whatever. Sci-fi.
I'm crazy excited.
So we will be more general than Star Trek, but I'm really excited.
It's gonna be so cool.
Yeah. Thanks for setting that up, Keith.
Episode of sci-fi.
Yeah, no problem.
So yeah, next. And thank you because I totally said my mind. As always, you can find us on Twitter at 4hosts. You can find us at there4hosts.com. You can please God find us on Pop Geeks.
Which we have a URL. It's 4hosts.popgeeks.com is where you can find us there. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, I double checked.
Yeah.
Excellent work.
4hosts.
We're legit.
.popgeeks.com.
Yeah. So Keith.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us throughout all these episodes of complaining and praising Picard. It's been a freaking blast. And remember, everybody, keep
there it is.
Looking.
All right. Thank you for listening, everyone, and thank you, Keith, for being so you.
So Keith.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Yo.
All right. Bye.
See you guys on the other side. Later.